It's all about having Christmas on Christmas Island. And that's it. It's one of the most boring songs ever. And the lines, "How'd you like to spend Christmas on Christmas Island?" are repeated for, I counted, 27% of the runtime of the song.
Okay, that says they didn't do any research into what Christmas on Christmas Island would be like. They're just sort of vaguely guesstimating.
So, everybody, hey, welcome back to Seemingly Unrelated. I know we said the season finale was last week, but it's Christmas, so everyone gets a bonus episode. We're sneaking in a bonus before we get out of here for the end of the year. We're packing up shop, and because this is going to be the final episode that we record in 2025 before we begin the gradual process of making season 3 happen, let's lean into the most British of all Christmas experiences, the circle around in the new year energy, with some really odd stories that are Christmassy related. So a little bit different than a typical episode, not exactly less seemingly unrelated and more I thought these things would be related, and it turns out they absolutely are not related in any way, shape, or form. So we are very pleased, actually, to be joined in this special bonus episode by an extra special guest. Somebody who, if you're not watching any video related to this, somebody who is from the top side of the world, very famous for their jolly laughter, has an affinity for red outfits, as evidenced by the cover of the book, A Passion for Passion, available at thebeaglepodcast.com. A well-known animal lover who has been accused of taking flight on more than one occasion. I'm talking about comedian, author, podcaster, and, in fact, the true spirit of Christmas, Alice Fraser. Alice, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. I'm delighted to be called the true spirit of Christmas, which I guess I sort of am, being half Jewish and in a hot climate, with none of the traditional symbology associated with modern Christmas. Yeah, that's me.
You can't get more Christmassy than that, I don't think.
That is peak Christmas, right? It doesn't need, who cares about all that Christmas stuff? Alice, for the listeners we have who somehow are not familiar with you, would you mind just giving a little taste, a little intro, so that they can find out about who you are?
Well, that is very difficult. I have a very bad self-image. Not self-image like as in I don't think I'm that great, as in I don't really have a very strong sense of self, in that I always think I'm the same height as whoever I'm talking to, and I sort of think I look like whoever I'm talking to. So, on a first date, I will tell you your life story as my own. You'll just start about, as the entree arrives, you'll start thinking, this is sounding awfully familiar. I'm a writer, I'm a comedian, I'm a podcaster. I occasionally do sort of keynote speeches and things like that. I talk and do ideas for a living. The through line is that I try to make people feel more human and more conscious of the humanity of the people around them. I figured that out through a moment of introspection the other day. Just the one. I'm allotted one a year, and I was like, oh, it's nearly Christmas. Better use mine up.
I like that, though. It seems, I'll agree, it seems consistent. The Tea with Alice, podcast, I think is probably the most clear example of that. But I think that's lovely, and it kind of matches our energy, which is we like to just make people feel a little smarter by being silly.
Important combination of things.
Yeah.
And under-recognized, importantly, I think, silliness and cleverness at the same time. I think they're often presented as opposites when, for me, more often than not, they go hand in hand. There is nothing more delightful to me than something that's wildly stupid, but also makes you cleverer from consuming it. I do these writers' reboots between Christmas and my birthday, the gooch of the year, if you will. And It's that time of year when often you'll just sort of find yourself staring into the grey middle distance thinking I didn't really achieve enough. But I feel like if we can sort of be silly and reboot our creative process, we can go into the new year feeling very positive and happy. And so far, it has worked. But yeah, part of it is like we're learning and we're laughing. But most importantly, both of those.
We're doing both. Yeah, I was going to say we're laughing, actually. That's the more important one. So you already alluded, you're in Australia, which some people say is the bottom of the world. I say it's the top of the world, and we're both wrong, so it's okay. It's summertime. This is a fun thing. A lot of people up here in the northern half of the world don't realize that it is indeed summer at Christmas in the southern half of the world. So I thought, we're bringing you in. Let's make you feel comfortable, I guess. I mean, it depends on how much you like heat. I'm talking about some warm Christmas stuff because that clearly seems unrelated to most people who celebrate Christmas. And yet, for you, Alice, that is as related as two things can be.
I mean, an Australian Christmas, you'll often play a bit of cricket on the beach. You'll have the traditional Christmas fixings, but you'll have the sort of cold ham or cold turkey because it's very hot. Instead of mashed potato, you'll have a potato salad. You do occasionally on like a 35 or 40 degree day see plastic snow melting from the heat, which is always fun.
Oh, you just said 40-degree day. Ooh.
You can't even keep the plastic snow like not melted. That's crazy.
There's nothing sadder than a summer Santa, I've got to say. Just sweating through his like vinyl beard.
That does sound absolutely horrific. I'm learning. So, Alice, the first question, and I'm going to sing it to you. And if it doesn't go well, I will then say it out loud and we'll edit this out and nobody will know the difference. How'd you like to spend Christmas on Christmas Island? That's it. That's all I got.
Do you know this song?
Is it a song? No, I've never heard it.
It
sounds like a sort of a 1930s sort of vaudeville style vibe. They did love a song based on a minor pun. Just taking that and running with it as hard as they could. One joke for the song. You're only allowed one joke, and then you take it all the way. A little bit of wordplay, a little bit of jolliness. That's my guess.
You have so accurately described the song Christmas Island. You're only slightly off in the time. It's 1949, but close enough. And it is the Andrews Sisters who make it a top 10 single in the United States and a top 100 single in the UK, which is just, come on, guys. And yes, it's a ukulele, and it's all about having Christmas on Christmas Island. And that's it. It's one of the most boring songs ever. And the lines, how'd you like to spend Christmas on Christmas Island, are repeated for, I counted, 27% of the runtime of the song.
Yeah, that says they didn't do any research into what Christmas on Christmas Island would be like. They're just sort of vaguely guesstimating based on its latitude.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the funny thing is, because they are referring to a real place, right? Christmas Island, which today is called by its real name, Kirimati, which is the largest inhabited atoll in the Pacific. It has about, I mean, we say inhabited. It has 7,000 people on it, so it's inhabited. But all 7,000 of those people have been living there since the earliest time we have recorded anywhere, 1777. It was not inhabited by Polynesian people. In fact, the neighboring islands around it, Polynesian peoples would like sail over, hunt, and then fuck off back to their own home islands. So it was sort of like a farm for thousands of years. But any guess why it's called Christmas Island?
I'm assuming because some very scurvy-ridden people on ships got there around Christmas and
Bang
thought,
on.
we'd like to be on land to do Christmas. Let's eat all of the one bird that they have here and leave our rubbish.
Now, the one bird they have there, and sharks. Yes, Captain Cook, in fact, the very famous colonial monster Captain Cook, landed on Kirimati on Christmas Eve, 1777, and said, yeah, sure, it's Christmas Island. My brother did ask me if there's a relationship to Easter Island, and I said, guess what? That's the reason why Rapa Nui is called Easter Island by white people, and only white people. See our previous episode about Christopher Columbus.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's a little bit short-sighted for you to say it's only known as Easter Island by white people, because you have to
Fair
think of all the number of people who went to schools that were taught that.
True. Let us never forget the horrible English-based language, not English as in England, although England came
Including
up with it.
presumably at some point some of the people on Easter Island who were told that we're calling it Easter Island now.
Yeah.
No take backsies.
No take backsies. Well, and spoiler for anyone who does listen to the episode, apparently they're the original white people anyway, so it's a weird story. So yes, Christmas Island became Christmas Island in 1777, and nobody lived there until 1856, when there was a discovery of a new product, the new hot item that came out of animals. It was an animal product that was the highest selling global market of the 1850s. Any ideas, Alice? What kind of animal product was the number one hit of the 1850s?
Ooh, I'm going to go with whale-related something. Something whaley? Is it a whaley? No,
You're
it's not. Am I
so
off?
close. You're so close.
Elephant.
You're in the neighborhood. No, it's guano.
Guano.
Guano. 1856, the United States passed the Guano Island Act to meet the incredible demand for guano, which, for people who don't know, is the poop that comes out of bats. We gave it a special name.
That was like the last thing I was expecting you to say.
Yeah, bat poop. Yes, see, the United States needed guano. They said because it's an excellent fertilizer, but the real reason is it's also an excellent source of saltpeter, which is necessary to make gunpowder. And so they passed an act.
Batman was onto something.
Batman was on to that. Well, how do you think Bruce Wayne made his billions?
I would be so much more invested in a Batman where he's not coming from inherited wealth, but he makes all of his money by doing weapons in a bat cave from a big pile of poo.
Now, does he contribute his own poo to the pile, or do you think he's harvesting?
Okay, and I feel like that's how he has a connection to. He can probably direct the weaponry with his mind, or by clenching his butthole, or something like that.
This is already genuinely. I've been
thinking about this for 10 seconds and I've already thought about it too much.
No. Wrong. Double down. Write that story. So the United States, in its infinite wisdom, decided that to meet this demand, they would just make it the law that if there was an island which had a lot of guano on it, that the United States would just claim that island legally, and it would become a U.S. territory. So they had the Navy sailing around the Pacific, literally looking for batshit islands. And that is where Christmas Island fell into United States control. Despite the fact
And what do you do for work, sir? I'm a poo hunter. What about you? I'm a poo scraper.
And I cook the poo. Ooh, delicious. So yes,
and I shoot poo.
I shoot poo. Oh, you load some. Well, yeah, you guess you do shoot poo. Oh God, I hate. Despite the fact that I've dedicated my life to it, I fucking hate history. Every day I have to learn something that is both morally repugnant, makes me physically uncomfortable, and also somehow I'm supposed to figure out how to use this in some meaningful way.
What did you do on Friday? Oh, I just shot the shit. Oh, you had a nice conversation. No, I was at war. Murdering people.
Murdering bats, too. Which is that's the true. They turned the weapon against the creator on that one. It's really a sad story. So the island falls into U.S. hands. It remains in U.S. hands for many, many decades, with people literally just showing up, scraping bat poop. Legit, like no one, I can't stress enough, no one's living on this island. People are showing up in boats, scraping poop off of the rocks, and leaving for decades. Until, hit the bingo card, Naomi, The Second World War. We're having an episode, so we must at some point in time say the Second World War was involved.
This is your first episode with us, so you don't realize that is the least surprising thing that's ever happened. Talking about that, it's like for about 2 years, every subject comes back to it.
I mean, to be fair though, it was sort of sort of spread fairly widely around the what do they call it? The world.
The world, yeah.
The war.
Who would have thought?
It's true, but then like the hamster episode was about World War II. You know, like it's just stuff you go, really? Even the hamsters? So yes, the Navy set up shop, right? They put a little base down because they wanted to keep Japanese forces from attacking the shipping lanes that were between Hawaii and the United States' very close ally, Australia. In that war. Yay! Hey, rest of the world. Fun fact, Australia also fought in World War II. A lot. Many people died.
Some would argue more than we needed to.
Some, I would say most. That would be silly not to. Yes, World War II, of course, the Japanese are in the Pacific. They attacked the United States very suddenly, and then the United States said, Australia, we also will fight the Japanese that you've been fighting for 2 years, and we didn't really help you. But we're going to have to set up shop. Never once did a battle happen at Christmas Island. In fact, Christmas Island has like an unusually high rate of like not going AWOL, because you can't go AWOL. You're on a rock in the middle, but just like people just bunking off for the day. Like there's so many citations of people because they would just sit out at the lagoon and shoot at sharks for 6, 7, 8 hours at a clip instead of, I don't know, watching out for Japanese patrol boats.
In many ways, Christmas Island is the opposite of Narnia because it's always Christmas and never Tilda Swinton.
And never. That is Tilda Swinton, isn't it? Well, they're remaking those films, so we can erase the old one now. I think that's how it works. But it was this time in World War II that gave us the song, boring as it may be, Christmas Island, because stationed one of those maniacs shooting at sharks in a lagoon was a man named Lyle Moraine, who wrote the song on the local church organ. Because there was, of course, a church. If there's a military base, there's going to have to be a church. He just hit the organ at some point in time in the middle of the day and wrote this song and put it in his back pocket. Now, Lyle Moraine, I love this story. Lyle Moraine, when he went to get his physical for service to join the Second World War, the doctor told him 5 times during the physical how handsome he was. He just kept hitting on him relentlessly throughout the entire physical. And what Lyle took away from that was, I should become an actor. A truly wonderful story. I just what was up with this doctor? Why did he tell 5 times? I mean, Lyle could be exaggerating, of course.
At that point, I'm not thinking I should become an actor. I'm like, I need to report this doctor. I think that's a really weird leap to make.
Oh, yeah. This guy's got a problem.
Well, possibly it was that it was so awkward, but he managed to pass it off. And he was like, wow, I'm being really convincing here in pretending that this isn't a deeply upsetting situation. This is a set of skills that I've never really explored to this extent because I've never been this uncomfortable while someone's touching my balls. And, the stakes are high for me to pretend this is okay because I'm in a vulnerable position. So maybe I should become an actor. Maybe it's not just his vanity was suddenly triggered, but it could be that he discovered a deep well of acting ability in that moment.
I mean, absolutely. And the thing is, I gotta imagine the doctor was a pretty good actor too, because Lyle Moraine didn't really take off in Hollywood.
Wasn't handsome at all.
Well, except for his one job, which is that he was the stand-in and body double for Bob Hope.
A man known for his physique.
Known for his handsome face and yes, his wonderful...
Who is Bob Hope? I don't know who Bob Hope is. Sorry.
Alice, this is the part of the show where I turn into dust. Because Naomi is part of Gen Z. Or Gen Z. And I
don't know who anyone is.
Geriatric millennial. at best. Bob Hope, Naomi, was a comedian, actor, who is most famous, I would argue, for his time in the USO, which I'm forgetting what USO stands for. I know what US stands for, but I don't remember the O stands for. Basically going to visit the troops and putting on shows. So Bob Hope would do like a couple of stand-up jokes, and then a bunch of women would come out and dance, and then the troops would be much happier than when they were engaging with Bob Hope. And he did that for, I think, 400 years, give or take. Like, the man died he was ancient. He was in his 90s when he died. And he did in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Gulf War, which was in like 1991. That's it. That's all he really was. But he was very famous in the United States and I guess around the world. Alice, do you have any childhood memories of Bob Hope?
I mean, everyone knows of Bob Hope, I would say, particularly if you're in comedy, but I can't extract my comedy industry knowledge from my general knowledge at this point. So maybe nobody else knows about Bob Hope.
I think people probably know about Bob Hope. I seem to have a real lack of understanding of the outside world. I'm going to Google it.
Yeah, that's fine. He has golf clubs. That's what I remember of Bob Hope.
Bob Hope, a golfing comedian.
I remember now.
And I'm sure he was on either the Ed Sullivan Show or the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson a bunch. Maybe both. So yes, Lyle Moraine is Bob Hope's double for 20 years. His career spans those 20 years. And in that time, Bob Hope's, he's hanging out with Bob Hope. They're getting up to all sorts of hijinks, I assume, on the Sunset Strip and all the shenanigans. There's the Rat Pack somehow overlapping.
I mean, always fun to go out with your body double. So many tricks, so many shenanigans. Is it me? Is it him? We don't look anything alike.
Exactly. It is the plot of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a movie in which Brad Pitt and Leo DiCaprio, where Brad Pitt plays the stunt double for Leonardo DiCaprio, and you're like a foot taller than him, Brad. This doesn't work at all. And 10 years older, at least. So that's where he meets the Andrews sisters, and he goes, "Hey, I got an idea. I wrote this song. You guys need a hit. Christmas, like, sort of Christmas, one of the novelty songs are always a good one, as we established last year in our Christmas bonus episode, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and his also-rans, like Creepy Uncle Mistletoe. And it's 1949, so people are really into tiki culture in the United States. So he thought, here we go, baby. Christmas Island. You guys get out a ukulele and be boring for 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Oof. Hey, folks, there are actually 2 entire other Christmas Islands, technically 4, if you want to count all of them, that we talk about in the rest of this episode, but unfortunately, you can't get that right here on the free feed. That's not how it works. This is a little bit of a sample, a little bit of a teaser, if you will, for our full episode with Alice Fraser, where we talk about all of the Christmas islands and then some. So if you are interested in getting the rest of it, then, in the spirit of Christmas, why not consider going to patreon.com/seemingly unrelated. There will be a link in the show notes, and maybe even I'll put, if you're in the video, a QR code. Sure, here. That makes sense. You can go to patreon.com/seemingly unrelated, get the whole thing, $2, and there's the other 13 bonus episodes you'll immediately have access to there. So thanks very much for checking out this little short bit of our special Christmas Island episode with Alice Fraser. And hopefully we'll see you over at patreon.com/seemingly unrelated. Have a happy holidays, everybody. What could possibly have happened in the late 1950s on Christmas Island?
If the documentaries that I've watched have anything to do with it, is a large lizard has come out of the sea and stomped on some houses. That's history.
God, I wish that was what happened in this case. No. November 1957.
Nuclear testing is what it was, wasn't it? It was nuclear testing. Yeah, it was always nuclear testing.
Yep, the UK tested its first H-bomb called Grapple 1-3. And here's the best part, because when the US government tests bombs on Pacific Islands, they ethnically cleanse the islands first. But the United Kingdom, no. They just don't tell anyone that they're testing the bombs on the island, including their own military personnel.
What a treat. My friend and colleague James Nokise recently did a series on nuclear testing in the Pacific, New Zealand, Samoa, and it's well worth. I mean, if you really would love to spend your Christmas being really miserable, it's a great documentary series.
You've piqued my curiosity. That sounds exactly. I also like James Nokise, so this is a great.
Well, I'm assuming because you're choosing to spend Christmas in the UK, you do enjoy being miserable.
I hate the sun, step one. And step two, if everyone can kind of be like a low-key asshole around me all the time, makes me feel better about myself.
Cold and damp, don't mind if I do.
I think that's what Ed Gein said. So, yes, loads of people got cancer. They were exposed to incredibly high rates of radiation. And of course, as we all know, because history is all about happy endings, the United Kingdom obviously compensated the families at some point in time, right? They must have done, surely. Now, 2018, the UK Ministry of Defence said that there was no evidence that anyone's cancers were caused by the increased exposure to radiation, to which everyone said, really? You don't think increased radiation causes cancer? Science disagrees.
Yes, how do I have 3 middle fingers to flip you right now?
Yes. You read the report. Don't read the report, everybody. I did it already. You're good. It is so dismissive of science, one, but also just the human pleas. Like, it's so deaf to, that might be offensive. It's so ignorant and willfully neglectful of the damage that was done by these experimentations on hydrogen bombs that it just makes you think that why Britain, and then you remember, right, it's Great Britain. That's whole history.
I mean, they're so good at this that they can sort of speed run it. It goes from who could possibly know what the results of this incredibly predictable action will be? Who could possibly know? Don't politicize it. Oh, it was ages ago. That can happen within a week.
Alice, on that note, do you have anything to plug before we wish all of our listeners a happy Christmas / whatever holiday season they happen to celebrate?
Yes, indeed. I am running my writer's reboot between the 27th of December and the 7th of January. Head over to patreon.com/Alice Fraser. Also subscribe there. You can subscribe there for free. It's basically my one-stop shop now because the algorithms don't do what they used to do. People who want to see what I'm up to and had followed my social media recently were like, were you ever in Brisbane? I was like, literally yesterday. So can't trust the algorithms. If you want to know what I'm up to, I've got a bajillion podcasts and I'm always putting out something there. I run twice weekly writers meetings. If you're subscribed at any level, you get 8 writers meetings a month with a really lovely supportive community of people and direct feedback from me, as well as we run a salon every week where we talk about ideas, which, you know, is a kind of thing that I like doing and not everyone likes doing. But if you join the salons, we have a chit chat about ideas. So patreon.com/Alice Fraser, and there you can get access to my many stuff.
Yeah. And gang, we'll put the links in the show notes so you don't have to remember anyway. You just click, you got a screen in front of you. You just click the thing.
I mean, if you can't remember patreon.com/Alice Fraser, I don't know. I mean, you might not be able to spell Fraser. Okay, yeah, just go to the link.
Yes, some people want to put an I in there. There's no I. It's just A's and E's.
No I.
So that's it for the year. It's our last episode of the year. We will see you in the new year, gang. There will be a January episode on the Patreon exclusive, and then season 3, as we said, will premiere probably sometime in March. But until then, from our family of anti-colonial, post-imperialist, communist lefties to your whatever polycule of gender non-specific people enjoying a holiday season in the winter. Happy holidays, everybody, and we will see you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Seemingly Unrelated is a Life's Little Murder Boards production. Created and hosted by Andrew Johnstone, audio production and editing services provided by Naomi Coe. Our artwork is by Megan Zemet. The theme song is Irizumi by Pistol Jazz. To find out more about everyone involved and access the show notes for this episode, visit us at seeminglyunrelatedpod.com.